Hello. It's been a little while since my last video. In this video, I think I'm just gonna ponder on nothingness and somethingness, happening and non-happening, and duality and non-duality. I feel like this would be easier if this was a conversation rather than a speech, but I want to ask the question, what defines something? Really think about that for a moment. What is it that defines something? It's mind, right? It's the mind that defines the somethingness in this world, in this reality. It's not like this right here, which we could agree is something. It's not like this defines itself as what it is. It is here and I hold it, and it moves and it's colored and it's textured, and the mind gives you all this information about what this something is, and this something is a lighter, it makes fire. But what is all that I just shared? What does that actually tell you about this thing? Because all it tells you is my mind. All it tells you is my mind, the somethingness that I've created inside of this infinite, undefined reality. And we take this somethingness that we've created and put it inside of that dance. So when I see a lighter, that something is a lighter. Or if I see water or a table or the sky, whatever it is, that's that. Because my mind has created the somethingness that it is and laid it out onto it, where anytime it pops up in this undefined reality, the naming, labeling mind says that's what that is. So something is in the mind. Something is in the mind. In the same way time is in the mind. There aren't seconds out here. There aren't hours and days and years and minutes. But this mind says 1, 2, 3, 4, and can go on and on and on and on indefinitely of the time dimension that it's created inside of itself to sequence this entire experience. This happened at 30 seconds. This happened at 30 years. This is going to happen in whatever, Time is the same mental creation overlay onto this undefined reality as something. If something is defined by the way in which I look at it and label it and name it, there's infinite somethings. There's infinite somethings simply dependent on how I'm observing. I am infinitely something. This lighter is infinitely something. This table and this room and everything is infinitely something in the way that I look at it through my mind. But what happens when you look at reality without naming it? Where the naming goes on, but you're not busy naming because you're being reality. What does it feel like to do that? Where is the somethingness? What's actually going on inside of reality? which happens to be the same reality as this lighter and the coffee cup and this table and the whole room, the whole works. What does that feel like? It feels like nothing is happening. There is the entire universe, and that's what's going on. And it's not even going on. That's the mind trying to sneak its way in. Even to call it the universe is the mind sneaking its way in. There is this. Complete. Done. One. So in a way, it's not even there. It's new, it's equalized, it's balanced out. Something isn't what it is or what's happening. It's a wavering of mind out of what is. The non-thinking, just happening body knows this lighter more than my mind knows this lighter. My mind would rather tell you what it looks like and feels like and what it does and what it's used and meant for, rather than my body. As you can see, it just does the thing. It does it. It's doing it. It's happening. And not thinking of this as something, not thinking of this as a lighter, doesn't mean I forget how to use a lighter. I simply use the lighter. When we look at the number 2, or any number really, I'm just going to use that number as an example, we take it at face value as that's what it is 2. But we forget to recognize that where did this 2 come from? Nothing. It came out of 0, out of none. 1 came out of none. None holds it. None holds the 2. And we don't see it because it's the background, in the same way you don't typically look at the background of a painting when the subject of the painting is the foreground. Just like the numbers, the subject of the numbers is the number itself is the foreground, while the 0 value, which is what it all arises out of, is now the background and is not recognized. But in truth, this 0 holds it all. Everything springs out of 0. Everything springs out of nothingness. Time, space, awareness, mind, sound, it all comes from nothing and fades back into nothing. Every time I talk, it's like whoop, back into silence. Whoop. Every time I say something, it's a little moving of the mind. So really, I guess the thing I'm saying here is don't forget zero, or remember zero. Realize that it's all coming out of nothing. And this nothing is the true right now. The free, unnamed, undefined right now. It's really, honestly, more complex to imagine that there's a bunch of somethings happening, rather than the all-encompassing non-happening, which is this right now. The opposite of something happens is no thing does not happen. So something happens. It's all dualistic inside of itself. The string, the sequence of events of our life and timeline, even this morning, what I've done, I can describe all this stuff in my mind of how it led up to right now. But it's all the same event. There's not, to the degree you can't even call it an event, it's a unfolding, it's a going, a happening. I think of Alan Watts describing you're seeing a long snake slithering by, and it's coming out from behind a wall, and you see the head of the snake and it's going down, and is it the head of the snake and then the tail of the snake follows the head of the snake? Or is it one going? Is it one happening? Even the ground that the snake crawls upon, slithers upon. Is the tail because of the head? No. This is because of this right now. Non-duality doesn't exclude the happening, because that's the duality. Non-duality is the recognition of the unhappening that holds all these happenings. And it doesn't disable the happening, the something that's part of duality. And non-duality is the space of seeing duality. Something and nothing. But what's the constant? What is the constant here? Because the reverberations are dancing energy, tensions. Being is the constant. Awareness is the constant. Don't confuse your awareness with your attention either, because attention is not constant and is actually very finicky. But awareness is all this, always, now, right now. Are there multiple awarenesses? Are there spaces and things and events and ticking timelines? Are there even beings inside of just awareness? Or does it require the mind to create that reality? It's like the awareness is a cup that holds our glass full of water, and the water is all the something, somebody, somewhere. It's just the contents of nothing. It's what fills the space. But what interests me is not what fills the space, but the space. What is that? To say what it is to fill it up. You can only be it. To say what it is to make it what it's not. Because nothing isn't something. Nothing is the all-inclusive one that cancels it all out, that baselines it. It's always been there. It's all there actually is, holding all these different variations of mind. Anytime you describe something happening, you're using a cognitive effort to describe a part or an aspect or a little piece of what has always been happening. The same happening, the same one happening. You just describe, oh, I just did this, or I'm gonna do this. But that's no different than this right now. Although on a mental level, it seems like that's something that happened. But there isn't reality inside of the something that happened besides the mind going, that happened. In the same way that there isn't an I, there isn't even a self without the mind going, I am. The true self just is. It doesn't need to tell itself it's itself. The true universe just is. It doesn't tell itself it's something. It just is. $1949. That was a good year. You know, the sky and the clouds and the trees and the wind and the everything, it does, you know, the natural world, it doesn't bombard me with that it's happening and what it is. My own mind brings these things to the table. And when I can sit and look at the sky beyond the happening of the sky, it's more beautiful than anything I ever imagined mentally the sky to be. All right, I suppose I'll end the video here. Don't really have anywhere I'm going to go with this or make something out of it. If you watched this video, thank you very much, and I'm sorry it's been so long since my last video. There just hasn't been the something to talk about. But yeah, if you watched, thank you very much. And whatever it is and whenever it is, I will be back with more. See you guys.